Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your hosts Edward McQueen and April Garner.
All right, it says we're live. Live just enough to diversify. Got the key?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, diversify. Big word. The word's been thrown around, but we're going to get some things clarified today, hopefully. Good evening to our guests, and good evening to our viewers. I'm your host, Ed McQueen, co-host, Ms. April Garner. And we are so happy that you all could join us today. What about April? What do you think?
Yes, it's always good to be here.
Yeah.
Present and accounted for.
That's good. Yeah, so we are. It's a very topic that needs to be. It's really expanded upon. I'm going to use, for lack of a better word, to and the word is diversify. So
The word is diversity.
No, I'm talking about to diversify. I mean, first, and then we're going to get on to with our guest who's going to talk to us about diversity because he has been put in a position to address issues like that, and he can further address it and answer our questions, our comments, and comment on our program today. And so, without further ado, April, if you don't say anything, I'll have him come on. Mr. Kelvin Waites, former Georgetown chief of police. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
How you doing?
All right, brother. What about you, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Miss April?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. I'm good. It's great to see y'all. I'm glad to be here. I was sitting backstage and watching that intro video with the globe spinning, and that was pretty dope. I like that. That was tight. That was tight.
You know what that is?
That was tight.
She thinks of stuff like that. You know.
Yeah.
It works too.
Yeah. Looks good.
Yeah. So, Mr. Waites, I'm just going to call you Kelvin for
Please
do.
Do.
Is that okay?
Please do. Yes, please.
But if you were still chief police, I would have been calling you that.
That'd been fine. I'm still Kevin either way. And just so you know, the L is silent now, and it's really pronounced Kevin. The L is silent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. You're right. But so we're so glad that you could come on the program today. And as you know, we've been trying to have you to come on the program to expand on your new position. Congratulations on that position, by the way.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
I think this is a first for Myrtle Beach, I believe, to have an office like that. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you like, would you kind of like give our viewers a little background on yourself? Other than just chief of police, everybody knows that. But
right. Well, prior to coming to the city of Myrtle Beach, I was the chief of police at the Georgetown Police Department, and started in my role there in 2016 up until August of 2021. Prior to that, I worked for the Horry County Police Department as the deputy chief of police and the interim police chief. And before I got involved in law enforcement, I served in the United States Army in the military intelligence field. I was a Morse interceptor, and I copied Morse code. Everybody still uses Morse code. A lot of people don't understand.
Oh, really?
Still uses Morse code. So, but that's what I did in the military. And I've spent most of my career serving people. I love people. I love meeting people. I love serving people, and I feel blessed that I've got an opportunity now to really serve in just in a different capacity. Still serving, but in a different capacity.
Well, we're sure to have some to meet a lot of the community's expectations with you at the helm of this. So we welcome you aboard.
Thank you.
So let's, in April, you can jump in at any time. Okay. Can we just talk a little bit about what your office does and
okay. I'll be glad to. So, as a director of diversity, equity, inclusion, one of my responsibilities is to really make sure that our workforce is as diverse as it can be. Make sure that as an organization, we are as inclusive as we can be, and make sure that we are equitable towards our workforce, as well as and I can go into those and I will, but as well as work with the community to form partnerships, to give the community someone to lean on, in terms, especially the minority community or the LGBT community or whatever community that's out there. Myrtle Beach, as well as Conway and Horry County, has such a diverse community. So, I'm a liaison for the community, but in-house, my job is to really focus on making sure that we are, as I said, as diverse as possible, that our employees feel included. Right? We can say inclusion a lot, that word gets thrown around, but our employees, our staff really feeling like they have a voice and that their voice is being heard, because everybody has a voice, right?
Yeah.
But our voices are not always heard. So it's part of my job to bring those voices, raise those voices up and make sure that in terms of being equitable, making sure that, we all came up, I think, in the workforce where, the terms like, we got to serve everybody out of the same pot. We got to treat everybody the same and do this and do that. But when we talk equity, we have to make sure, part of my job is to make sure that we are getting the tools that each person needs to be successful. And it may be different straight across the board. So it takes work, it takes time, but that is pretty much my responsibilities, as well as training our workforce and giving them basic diversity, equity, inclusion, training. I was busy today at the convention center, which is one of our departments. The City of Myrtle Beach runs the convention center, and we were just talking with the staff over there about how important it is to be diverse and to be and learn, not only learn about different cultures, but respect them. Because anybody can Google anything, right, and learn about it, but we have to learn how to respect different cultures as well, especially someplace like the convention center, because there are people coming in there from all over the world, wanting to come to this area to put on events and do business. So I spent most of my time today at the convention center.
Wow, getting ready for all of that. I guess we're expecting a huge summer in terms of events, and you probably get firsthand knowledge on that, being that you're in that capacity.
Yes. So, well, we're expecting and preparing for a busy summer. It's actually, as the weather starts to get better, it's picking up now. I mean, I think we all see as we come and go the traffic picking up. So we're preparing for a busy summer.
Okay. So April, you can jump in anytime, okay?
No, go ahead. You're doing fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So Kevin, you said you're going to make sure that you get the resources to carry out your job effectively. In terms of personnel, I'm sure that's included in your resources that you're expecting. How many personnel you think you're going to be having in your office?
No. No. Well, in my office right now, and it's just me. What I was telling you was that part of my responsibility is to make sure that our staff across the city, right? The staff all across the city, all the employees, close to 1,000 employees across the city, have the tools, working with their department heads, working with their directors, working with HR, that they have the tools in order to succeed individually. That's what I was explaining to you earlier.
Right. Okay.
Make sense now?
Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, in conclusion, your staff is all over the city.
Yes, I work with all the directors, all the department heads, senior management, to make sure that our initiative keeps moving along, and that everybody, as much as possible, buys in, because a DEI initiative is important to any organization, and it can't just be about checking a box. You really need buy-in from the people who are on the ground doing the work, and so that's what we're working towards.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it seems like you were excited about the position, so it means that you have your vision is really straightforward. You have a lot of things in mind that you want to see happen in the department.
I am excited, because I honestly believe that through my previous career of service, I think it prepared me for a position such as this, in that serving people. And I say it all the time, serving people. I never had the luxury of picking and choosing who I was going to serve.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I never ever, you serve everybody, white, black, yellow, green, old, young. You know what I'm saying? You serve everybody, and sometimes we get caught up as servants, right? And we may not really agree with the way somebody chooses to live their life, or how they dress, or different things they do. But at the end of the day, we have to realize that service doesn't require acceptance, right? Our mission doesn't change. If I'm a preacher and my job is to go and preach the word, preach the gospel and spread the word, because I necessarily don't agree with the way somebody's living, do I stop preaching to them?
No.
That question was for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Do I stop? No.
Yeah.
The mission doesn't change. And so, like I said, I've been in service, and I've never had the luxury of picking and choosing. So I believe that, when this position came open and I applied for it, I really believe that it's by design that I'm here and I'm doing this work. And I am excited about it.
That's fantastic. Great, man.
So, Kevin, one of the things that you and I talked about as we were preparing for this show is, why this is a very necessary conversation. And it's, the title that was on the promo. It's something that talking to, colleagues, across different sectors, the idea of having a necessary intentional conversation seems to be a little difficult in some workplaces. And I know that DEI it feels like a new concept, even though it shouldn't be a new concept,
Right.
but it's a concept that has, kind of risen to the top because of the need to make sure that workplaces and institutions are intentionally practicing, what they supposedly preach when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so, why do you think it's such a difficult conversation to have? Is it just because the institutions, businesses, different sectors are just used to doing things a certain way, and pretty much dealing with people in a certain way? Is there just a pushback on conforming to what's now being required of them?
I strongly believe that it boils down to culture. The culture of the company, the culture of the organization. It boils down to the culture, and if the leadership and the head of the organization is not aware or in the space where they realize that DEI is important because it will help them make better decisions. It'll help them have a more diverse workforce, which will turn around and really be able to serve the community even more because our communities are diverse. As you were talking, it made me think about after George Floyd was murdered, and that was the last time that I was on your show. That's when I came on the show. I was the chief of police at the police department, and as you were talking, I thought about a conversation. Everybody, there were peaceful protests and protests everywhere, all over the country, including locally. Myrtle Beach as well as Georgetown, and we were leading up to a pretty big march in Georgetown. I remember it, and nobody really knew what to expect, but we had a really good relationship with the community, so there was a lot of dialogue going back and forth, and we were part of the process. But I remember the day of the march. One of my officers, he was a Caucasian officer. He said, "Well, Chief, I don't understand why they marching here. This didn't happen here. I don't understand why, they're even marching here." And so and I was glad he said it because it gave me an opportunity to do just what you're talking about, have some of those conversations, in space so people get a better understanding. That's the only way that we're going to grow together. That's the only way we're going to move forward. We have to have these conversations, and they're not easy. So, my reply to him was, well, people are hurting across the world. This is the first time that for me, I'm standing there as a police chief, and I saw somebody get murdered in the living room of everybody in the world, is what I saw. Everybody in the world. And I said, people are hurt. So you can't put a zip code or you know what I'm saying, on trauma. We all feel it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We all still feeling it and dealing with it. And I said, so people are hurting all over the place. And I said, and people are tired. It's almost like having a pot. And we had this conversation before the march. I said, it's almost like having a pot of water that's on the stove and it's boiling, and it keeps boiling, and it keeps boiling, and it keeps boiling. And at some point, the pot boils over. And I said, this is the point that we are at. And so, I had to help him realize that, hey, so that's why people are out here. That's why people are marching. And I said, I'm hurting. I see my son, my brothers, my dad, I'm hurt. We're all hurt. And I said, but right now in our line of service, we have an opportunity to go out and be a bright light and shine a bright light on what happened by doing our jobs, doing it with a smile, being courteous and helping and being a part of this process. So it's important to be, from my perspective, to be intentional about dealing with issues of DEI. It's not going to get better on its own, right?
Right.
You can't just say, well, have one conversation and be like, okay, we good.
Right.
It's not going to get better by its own. You got to have somebody championing that. You got to have somebody leading the charge. You have to be intentional about changing a culture, because that doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen overnight.
And I think what we find whenever we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion is that a lot of people do not know what it means. And, so part of what I'd like for you to do tonight is to define it and kind of give some context as to what it is and what it isn't.
Okay. So first thing I'll tell you is that, and so I was talking to a colleague about 3 weeks ago, and we were talking, and my colleague didn't look like me. He was a white man. We were just talking about DEI in the workplace, because what we have to do is normalize these conversations, not to make it seem so awkward. The more we talk, the more people listen, and the more we normalize the conversation. So he says, Kevin, I don't understand. I said, what do you mean? He said, DEI is not a monster. It's not a monster. It's really about people opening up their eyes a little bit wider. And I thought that was so profound. He said it, he walked out of my office, and I wrote it down. And I actually added it to my presentation, because it is so true. When people within organizations here, DEI, they cringe. Like somebody's gonna come in here and just go crazy and just eat us up. But it's really not a monster. It is, again, an opportunity for people to open up their eyes a little wider. So we'll talk about diversity first. So to me, and I'm not going to give you a Webster. I'm going to give you from my perspective, diversity is a mixed workforce. It is a mixed bag of race, right? It is a mixed bag of gender, age, disability, sexual orientation. You know what I'm saying? Everything. Diversity is so much. Ways of thinking, religion. Diversity is a mixed bag, and in the workforce, it's a powerful thing, because I've never wanted to be a leader to have people sitting at the table that thought exactly the way I did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's no growth. Growth. Everybody's sitting around the table, and the chief says, "Okay, we're gonna do this," and everybody just nodding their head. Whether it's right, whether it's right or wrong. And so there's, you have diverse, you have young, you have old, you have white, you have Asian, you have black. You're saying you have everybody, all of these minds, all of these different perspectives, because we all come from different backgrounds, sitting at the table, putting those ideas out there, right? And so, where the inclusion comes in at is, we have to provide, we have to do differently, right? In the past, we may not have listened to those voices, right? I mean, who wants to work at a workplace where you have an idea that you think can make a difference, and you go to your supervisor and you say, "Hey, I got this great idea," and they said, "We ain't got time for that." How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel like you're heard? No. So we have to find a way to create spaces to make sure that in terms of being inclusive and talking about inclusion, that people are heard. Right? It's not going to happen overnight. It takes time, and it takes work, but it's worth it, because everybody, I don't care who you are, brings something to the table. Everybody brings something to the table. And so as we talk about equity, a lot of times people get equity and the word equal mixed up.
Correct.
Right? They get, and just, I was in a training today, and I said, "Well, what is equity?" And somebody said, equal, treating everybody the same. And I just smiled, because I was happy they said it that way, because it was a teaching moment and an opportunity for us to learn as a group and grow. And I explained that, I actually showed them a diagram, but it was 3 people standing up at a fence. One person was about 6 feet tall. They could see their head and shoulders were clearly over the fence, and they could see, they were watching the game. They could see the game with no obstruction at all. They had a box. The next person to the right had the same box, right? But they were a little shorter, and they had to get up on their tippy toes, and they could barely see over the top of the fence. And then there was a third person who was in a wheelchair who couldn't see anything at all. right? But they all had the same box. Now the question is that equity or is that equality?
That's equality.
Everybody had the same thing. And so
Mm-hmm.
after that, I went on to explain that, listen, the first person I talked about, he didn't even need a box. He could see over the fence, no obstruction. The second person needed to be elevated just a little bit, right? And the third person, we actually built a ramp for them so they could get up there and see. And at the end of the game, everybody was engaged, everybody was in the game, and it wasn't about giving everybody the same thing, but equity. Equity is about making sure that everyone has what they need in order to be successful.
Right.
That is what equity is all about, and it's going to be different for everybody. It's going to be different for everybody. Some people may need, and I'm just throwing out things. Some people may need 2 hours of training. Some people may need 10 hours to get where they need to be to reach the proficiency, to be successful and win. And that, because at the end of the day, if the employees win, the citizens win, and everybody wins. You see what I'm saying? So that's just my little overview on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
So what does it take for, I guess, institutions to make sure that they aren't just checking a box? Like you said, they're institutions that have different ideas of how they should implement DEI programs, but sometimes the way that they do it really is more of just checking the box to say we've done something. But how can businesses know that they have really met the challenge of putting some DEI actions in place?
Yeah. So, you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. You can't just wake up and walk to work one day and say, hey, we're going to do this DEI thing. It doesn't, you got to have a plan, and so, in having a plan, and I'm just talking from my experience, you have to set a baseline, right? You have to set a baseline, because if if you don't know where you are right now, how can you really know where you need to be?
That's
You see what I'm saying? So you
Mm-hmm.
have to set a baseline, whether your organization goes out and hire somebody to come in and do an assessment, or whether you do it in-house. But you have to set a baseline. You can't just go off what you see in pretty much an eye test. You have to, numbers don't lie, right? So you got to get those demographics. You got to do those surveys. You got to get that analysis in, break it down, and see where you are. Number one. Number two is after you get it, after you have that assessment, all of that data, you have to look at it and figure out where there are opportunities to get better, where there's gaps. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be, and I'm just talking, whether it be, hire more minorities, whether it be hire more females, whatever it is, but you have to let that data tell you where the gaps are. You see what I'm saying? And what we need to do. And after that, you have to come up with, once you do the assessments, you have the data, you have to come up with a plan of action. Okay. This is what we've identified. We got issues with here. Okay, this is how we're going to resolve that. We're going to do A, B, C, and D. You have to have that plan and come up with action. You know what I'm saying? Things you can do to get better. And once you do that, you execute it, right? You execute it, and you come back in the end and you review what you did, right? You tweak it if it needs to be tweaked. And then guess what, April? It's time to do it all over again, because I believe that some people talk and they call DEI a marathon. I don't even believe it's a marathon, because I believe it's really all about constant improvement. Constant improvement. And I don't think it'll ever end, because we can always, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you're doing, we can always get better. So
that's the biggest room in the world.
Yeah.
The room for improvement. It's the biggest room
Room
in the
for
world.
improvement, biggest room, and so even when you make improvements and things are better and you see that you're making progress, we can still do better. We can still do better. So but the main thing is, April, to answer your question is you have to have a plan. Just doing some research and reading up about the same thing you said, plans failing, it's because you can't wing it.
Right.
You can't wing it. You have to have a plan, and you have to have a senior management and leadership that's committed to it. And I'm happy to say, and I'm proud to say, that within the city of Myrtle Beach, we have senior staff that is committed and leadership that is committed to our DEI program.
Mm-hmm. I think it can be seen as revolutionary in a way that the city of Myrtle Beach has actually added you as director of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's a wonder they, didn't always have that particular position in place. And there's so many other businesses that actually do not have a solid DEI plan. They don't have DEI staff in place. And they're probably some of the places that need it the most. As you think about what attracted you to this position, and also what the city of Myrtle Beach put in place or in front of you as a reason or two as to why they really needed to make sure they were addressing the DEI issues. Can you share with us some of the things that the city of Myrtle Beach put in front of you as goals? Because of course, as we think about some of the I guess issues that always hit the media. There's always, questions about fairness in hiring practices. And I don't know if your work extends out into actually the community so much, but, whenever, Black bikers come to town, there's always questions about whether or not they're being treated, fairly or equitably whenever they come to the city. So, are these some of the things that the city of Myrtle Beach wants to tackle and maybe even wants to introduce other business owners and people who are like your community partners too? And are you in place to do that?
Absolutely. That was a lot that you just said. That was a lot. But to answer your question, yes, I remember during the interview process, I got interviewed 3 times. And so, everyone at a certain point in the interview, you get an opportunity to ask questions. And so, the question at the top of my list was, are you really serious? And I asked that question 3 times. Are you really serious about this initiative? Or, is it really just about checking the box? And the first time the answer was no, we're absolutely serious. The second time I remember being, on an interview in the panel, and I asked the question, and the panel looked at our leader, our city manager, when I asked the question. No, it was funny. It was almost like watching tennis. But when I asked the question, everybody just everybody looked at him, and the response was, Kevin, we know we can do and we can be better. We know we can do and we can be better. And that is what we want for our work staff. That is what we want for the community. And that is what we want for the city of Myrtle Beach. So to answer your question, yes, the city of Myrtle Beach wants to partner with the community, business owners, minority business owners to make things better. But that part is, I will tell you, is going to take time, because right now, my main focus is our internal assessment, because we truly believe that, we got to do this thing like a microwave, and we got to work from the inside out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Can we break for a commercial? April, what do you think?
Yeah, we can break for commercial, and we have another special guest with us tonight. You want to bring him in after the commercial?
Yeah, we'll do that. Kelvin, you're gonna like him, Kelvin.
Good. I like him already.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll break for a commercial, and we will be right back. All right, and we're back, Brother Edwin.
Oops. And we're back. And we got Brother Marcus McCullough back with us again. Marcus is going to be a regular. He's bringing us so much information from the community. Some of this shows us that we had a lack of quantity of staff, right, April? We can always use that. So for people like him to go around about town and bring us the news, bring our viewers the news, something that you just don't hear every day on regular media. So Marcus, how you doing today?
Doing great, doing great. Happy to be back on the show again.
Happy to be back on the show. We're happy to have you back, man, on the show again. Originally, we had Marcus assigned to being our reporter from the city council meetings every meeting that they have, which is the first and the third of each month. But Marcus has gone beyond that and gotten additional news and events that are going to be happening. So Marcus, go ahead and share it with us, brother.
All right. Well, since today's episode is about diversity, the first thing I want to do is share some diversity news. We would like to congratulate Captain Antoine Neesmith of the Conway Fire Department on receiving the Tony D. Hendrick Officer of the Year Award at the 2021 Conway Fire Department banquet this year. The Conway Fire Department has 3 captains, and 2 of which are African-American males, along with Captain Brent Green. So we'd like to give him a shout-out for that. That's a very prestigious honor to have.
Absolutely.
Also, we want to do a few community announcements here. On Saturday, there will be a youth fishing derby at Riverfest Park starting at 8 a.m. and concluding at 10 a.m. There will be prizes and trophies for the biggest fish, the smallest fish, and most fish. It's for all ages 16 and under. Bring your own poles, chairs, and buckets, and this is organized by the Conway Parks and Rec Department. So we wanted to make sure everybody knew about that. Plus, the age is 16 and under, because in the state of South Carolina, that is the age that you have to meet or be under to not have to pay for a fishing license. Right. So if you're 16 and under, or have a child or a family member who is 16 and under, it'd be a great event. There'll be food and, of course, vendors and prizes. It'll be a great time, and the weather's supposed to be actually very nice on Saturday morning.
Oh, you've already checked the weather out and everything.
Hey, listen, as an avid fisherman myself, I always check the weather on the weekends.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
always check the weather on the weekends. But now we have some news that's really going to make a lot of people think and wonder. The city of Conway has hired consultants about reducing traffic and the traffic flow in areas such as 3rd and Main, right where the intersection meets at the bottom of 501 Business.
Yes.
And they have proposed for roundabouts. The roundabouts are somewhat of a way to alleviate traffic congestion and help to change the flow of traffic instead of having bumper to bumper anytime from 12 a.m. to 2 p.m. or from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Traffic's just terrible right there, that corner. And the DOT brought in some analysts, and they want to install roundabouts 6, but they want to do one first. The test site is going to be at 3rd and Main, right at the town square by City Hall. And they say that this will alleviate traffic flow tremendously. Excuse me. They say it'll reduce crashes by 66%, reduce injuries by 79%, and fatalities by 100%. Now, the cost on these is going to be $1.5 to $2 million a piece, and they have 6 proposed to be enacted within the next couple of years. So that's a lot of money for the city of Conway. Councilman Larry White spoke on it after their retreat over the past month, and he said that he wants more information and is worried about displacement and people learning how to maneuver through these roundabouts, because I can attest to the fact I deal with the one at Coastal's campus and the one right on Singleton Ridge Road very frequently, and a lot of people don't really obey the traffic laws when it comes to that. It's normally a first come, first go type yield situation, and a lot of people fly right through those, and there's still a lot of collisions. And both of those have been there for at least 4 years that I know of since I've been going to college. And a lot of people still sideswipe, and there's a lot of accidents for people going too early and trying to rush and beat the next person around. So that's pretty. It's not necessarily a automatic fix, and you can't truly say that these numbers are going to happen based upon national average for an area like ours, where everybody is used to driving under the light with the traffic lights. Also, you have to worry about displacement. See, if they want to build a roundabout there, you're going to have to worry about people not being able to get into a lot of the local storefronts on that corner. And a lot of your businesses that are lined up right there on Main Street. I mean, anything from the Trestle all the way to Popple's General Store will be affected tremendously by that. Plus, you have to worry about 18-wheelers and log trucks that come off 905. It's going to be nearly impossible for them to navigate through a roundabout like that during the daytime.
So, Marcus, where exactly are they talking about putting one of the round? Do they have any schematics for it?
Yes, ma'am, they do. They have on the City of Conway website. They are going to post one soon. I saw the original schematic through the Ori Independent. That they just published this on Monday in their recent circulation. But The first one they want to do is at 3rd and Main, right in front of the old town hall.
Okay.
That's the first one they want to do, and that one will cost $1.5 to $2 million.
Yeah, wow.
Right
I'm trying to envision that.
Me too. I'm trying to visualize
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Everybody's
trying to
so
envision-
used to the traffic lights for so many years,
3rd and Main.
And that's going to cause a lot of displacement once they start construction. I mean, that's going to take that corridor totally out of the equation and move all your traffic to the main 501 corridor.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you're talking about courthouse traffic, and then you have tourism traffic. Anybody who knows to go to 501 business instead of regular 501 is going to be back jammed into 501.
Okay, make me know it. You said the old town hall, 3rd and
yes,
Main.
ma'am, right there. Right. Okay, so it's at the light right there at Papa General Store. Is on that corner.
But people are coming off of that bridge, so you telling me they want to put a roundabout right there?
Right there. Exactly.
That makes no sense. I'm sorry,
everywhere
but
they want to put, everywhere I've looked, like I said, I looked at the schematic, and everywhere they want to put them, it's going to tremendously change the traffic pattern whenever they start construction. Every one of the 6 sites, because they have 6 total that they proposed to have a roundabout.
Well, you got some historical buildings there that will most definitely be replaced or displaced.
They'll have to be replaced, or the parking lots will have to be cut. I mean, you have to think about that overflow parking lot they just had put in a couple years ago across from Town Hall.
Right.
I mean, that's going to have to be totally eliminated.
I'm trying to understand why they don't think that's going to bottleneck the bridge.
It's going to bottleneck the bridge terribly.
Terribly. It's bad enough, yes, with the traffic light, but I don't see the roundabout making it any better. And
nope.
Wow.
If it's studied correctly and if they implement it properly, I think there's a roundabout, as you mentioned, on Singleton Ridge Road there.
Right.
Okay. That seems to work very well. Okay. However, they didn't have to displace a whole lot of buildings and all that kind of stuff. So disruptions was probably kept to a minimum. Okay. Yeah, it was probably kept to a minimum. But like April was saying, the one that's time to get off of that bridge.
You can't even compare it to the Singleton Ridge one. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but think about it.
If they just shift the main street a little bit over, but with the circle, push the circle, not coming exactly off of the bridge, but maybe slant to the right where you have less building. You can displace that park. Have them turn right just a little bit, veer to the right, and then encompass, take advantage of the circle there. Mm-hmm. That might be workable. I haven't seen the graphic layout in the Orient Independent or any of the media stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the study that shows a pattern like that with a bridge as a feature. It would be one thing if, like Brother Edward said, it was just the Singleton Ridge Road where you have some intersecting roads. But we're talking about coming off of a bridge, and then you want them to go around a loop and do X, Y, and Z, and that bridge curves. So it's not like
terribly.
It's terrible. And you imagine the signage you'd have to have there to prepare people as they're coming off of that bridge. I don't know that that's the best place for it. But hey, I'm not an engineer, but I can say
neither am I.
It just doesn't. It's not logical to me.
Yeah. I have to take a look at it, Marcus. I know it has a conceptual design, I'm sure. So
yeah, it does. Y'all send it to you so you can check it out.
Yeah, I really need to check it out. Thanks so much for that information.
And you said that's based on the number that you gave us. That's between $9 and $12 million for them to do the project.
Correct. In total.
Okay. In total, exactly. For the six.
On top of another project that they want to do, also the black masts that hold up the traffic lights at that same intersection we're speaking of, 3rd and Main. That one is in immediate need of repair, but they also want to do approximately 6 more of those as well. But they want to do that one first. But it will cost $200,000 a piece for each one of those black masts to be replaced with something more up to date and efficient for the time that wouldn't wear and deteriorate as quickly.
And how many did they need to do?
They said there's 6 that they need to do, but the one they want to tackle first is at 3rd and Main.
That's another $1.2 million.
That's right.
Well, that's going to be in conjunction with, I believe, in the timeline along with the with the roundabout. Okay, you're talking about circling traffic. What you're talking about, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we'll just have to wait to see how that plays out. Okay. Whether they want to spend that money on this mast right now or just wait until they do the circle or whatever. But I'm sure
what I was thinking
that's a discussion.
Yeah. See, what I was thinking was, why would they worry about replacing the mast when they're trying to potentially do the roundabout?
The roundabout exactly.
Totally eliminates the need for the traffic light.
Right.
So that would be $200,000 down the drain. That'll be used for probably 3 to 4 years at the max before they do the roundabouts.
Well, that's the challenge. I'm sure that they're going to be meeting at the next meeting.
Yeah, there's a meeting on Monday. It's going to be a lot of topic about that and how it's going to get paid for.
Wow. Wow. What else you got for us, Marcus?
That is it for all. That's all for right now. Due to the fact that we have to wait for a meeting. We've been on a 3-week break for city council meetings. So we're waiting for those to come back in effect. There will be one on Monday, and I'm ready to figure out all the things they have in store to talk about how they want to pay for many things that they've written down. I mean, we just talked about the numbers, us alone, and this is right at probably from $10 million to $13 million worth of investment.
$14 million.
It's a lot of money. So,
did they give you a time frame on? Or did they give an estimated time frame?
They haven't given an estimated time frame. They just have the consultants come in not too long ago. In the article from Nori and Pennant, it said that they were here 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So they haven't given a time frame on when they want to have them installed. More than likely, they'll have something on that at the next meeting. So that's what I'm looking forward to figuring out. And once I figure anything out, I'll come back and share the news.
Absolutely.
Fine job, Marcus, as usual.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're on the team.
Yeah, I am too. I enjoy it thoroughly.
All right.
Wow, that's great. Fantastic. You made my day, man. Okay.
Good deal. Good deal.
Well, listen, Marcus, we're going to bring Kevin back on this screen. You want to stick around? Are there any questions you have for him?
You might.
I would actually like to tell him hello. It's been a long time since I've seen him.
Okay, there you go.
Me and Mr. Waites go way back a couple years.
Marcus, what's up, man?
Doing? I'm good.
I'm good. Listen, I was backstage just watching. Excellent job. It has been a minute since we connected, man. Excellent job. Man. I really want to borrow that James Earl Jones thing you got going on. I'm telling you, man. Hey, keep that up, man. I mean, that really was awesome. The information was awesome. You could tell you did your research. You knew what you was talking about, and you delivered. And that was awesome. That was awesome. I was thoroughly impressed with that, man. And it's good to see you.
Thank you. The folks told me to tell you they said hello. They're in the kitchen eating dinner right now, so they told me to make sure to let you know that they said hi and it's been a while.
Hey, tell them I asked about them as well.
I will.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, we have just a few minutes left in the show, and we want to, of course, thank Kelvin Waites for being here, new director of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Right.
With the City of Myrtle Beach. And I'm telling you, this conversation is something that's we're just on the cusp of it. They're really, they can't say that they've even gone to the heart or the core of DEI just yet. There's so many conversations. People are learning more and more about it every single day. There's a lot of work that needs to be done across Horry County and Georgetown County, just across the South, everywhere really in the United States, and even I would venture to say, probably internationally when it comes to this topic. So, Kevin, you're in a really good position to really be a change agent and to bring people up to, where they need to be. And I think that the City of Myrtle Beach obviously has an asset in you, and it's going to be interesting and intriguing to see what things you can do with the city to make sure that they do more than just check the box, and they're very intentional about their action. So congratulations to you. And this conversation was really great.
I appreciate that. And I always love coming on here, hanging out with you and Mr. McQueen. And it's been a bonus, like some icing on top, just to see Marcus and hear him do his thing.
Absolutely.
Please, can I plug our city website?
You absolutely can.
Okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, please, if you are looking for a job, go to the cityofmyrtlebeach.com. We have jobs available, and one of my jobs is to partner with HR again to help us become a more diverse and help us to be as diverse as possible. So please don't just think City of Myrtle Beach. I'm not filling out the application, or go online and look it up. You know what I'm saying? If you have questions, call the City of Myrtle Beach and say, hey, I have a question about this job. But please go to our website. Go to our website. We are hiring and we have jobs. Okay, jobs available.
Yeah.
So I thank y'all for that.
Yeah, you just sent a job lead to us, as a matter of fact, and we'll post it. You're looking for an event coordinator, I think, part-time.
Okay.
With the convention center, I believe it is. So yeah,
Okay.
then visit the site, see what's out there.
Please do.
Sounds like a fascinating job, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much.
Well,
I can't wait. I can't wait to come back on. I can't wait to come back on. So please, just
that's good to hear.
Ready, I'm ready. Yeah.
That's good to hear. Hey, when you well, I noticed they just had a graduation of officers for the Myrtle Beach here about I don't know, about 3 weeks ago, something like that, right? 3 weeks. Yes. And they had a very unique graduation. It caught my attention. So but we can talk about that another time.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. So good. So thank you so much, man. Again, you obviously had some commenters from people who were saying it's a great job.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that. All right. So, April, what do you think?
Right. I think it's time, Brother Edward. Thank you all so much. Yes, thank you all for joining us tonight. We really appreciate all of our viewers, and please make sure you share the show so that everybody can enjoy the rebroadcast. You can go to wcmagazine.net, click on the video icon or thumbnail, and it'll take you straight to tonight's broadcast. And of course, you can also replay it from the Facebook page for wcmagazine.net. If you're a friend of mine and you have access to my page, you can play it from my page. We share it everywhere, and I know that that Kevin and Marcus will share it as well. So we appreciate all the support constantly. Thank you to all of our supporters, as far as our advertisers and sponsors. And just want to say that we're going to do this again next week, same time, same day, same channel, all that good stuff. Developing a couple of great topics to kind of round out the month. So you got to stay tuned, though. You got to stay tuned.
April, let me interject something here. I got this text from a gentleman, a well-known gentleman, who asked that we ask Kelvin about the number of black companies that have contracts with the City of Myrtle Beach. That doesn't hit you directly, though, right yet? Does it, Kelvin?
As I said, but that is a good question. But I can't answer that question right now. I don't know right off the top of my head. But that is a good question, and you can tell that gentleman that if he wants to have a follow-up conversation, he can call me in my office at 918-1016, 918-1016, and I'll try to get my hands on that information for him.
Okay, and the other question was, what's the frequency would there be of employee diversity training?
So what we're doing right now is we're trying to touch every department, which will take some time. But at least I'm thinking quarterly there's something, and there's constantly something going out once a week. I send out to the entire organization a key term, right? It could be diversity, it could be culture, it could be it could be anything. But key terms go out across the entire organization, and people get educated and they read things. And I get questions off and on. So there'll be ongoing stuff, and then there'll be formal training, follow-up trainings, maybe hopefully quarterly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Yeah. This is heavy stuff. This is heavy stuff, right, April?
Yes, it is. It's great stuff. It really is. Very necessary. Very necessary. So again, thank you all for joining us tonight. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
And see you next week. Everybody stay safe.
All right.
All right. Okay.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live